Michael Popok, Legal AF. Judge Cannon got upset with the Department of Justice and Dave Harbach, one of the lawyers for the prosecutors. She gets frustrated with him. She says he doesn't properly give her respect in the courtroom. And when he didn't come in with the goods at the last hearing, listing for her all the different ways that Donald Trump has suggested falsely, has argued falsely, including at the debate, that he was the subject of an assassination attempt by the FBI led by Joe Biden during the execution of the search warrant, under her auspices nonetheless, because they were armed, as FBI agents have to be. When Donald Trump wasn't even present, it was coordinated with his offices, with his security detail, with his family, with his staff to make sure he wasn't present. Putting that little fact, that little stubborn fact aside, the judge got annoyed with Dave Harbach about, well, where is your evidence? You talk about his violation of gag orders. You talk about this or that. I want to see it. Submit it. I'll give you an opportunity, one last chance to submit it. Well, government has submitted it. They've got 11 different categories where Donald Trump, one of his minions, or somebody, one of his sycophants around him, have made the argument to the American people that the Department of Justice and the FBI are rogue and lead assassination squads, hit squads, killer hit squads. I'm picturing guys in leather with helmets and motorcycles trying to knock off Donald Trump like one of those, really bad action movies, when we know that the truth is much more simpler than that. He wasn't there when they executed a properly issued federal search warrant under the auspices of a federal magistrate. But this just gave the Department of Justice an opportunity, a great opportunity to tell the American people what evidence they have for this particular thing. I'm going to go through the 11 different categories of information that the Department of Justice has now submitted to Judge Cannon as document number 652 on the docket, meaning there have been 652 entries on the docket in this case since it started. And in this one in particular, I'm going to start with exhibit number 2. We'll put it up on the board. I'll flash it here. Exhibit number 2, or example number 2, is examples of Trump's surrogates amplifying his statements, alleging an FBI plan to kill him. I can't even imagine that these words would be formed in my mouth and have to come out during a hot take. That a former president of the United States or anybody else would suggest that Merrick Garland and President Biden and Chris Wray, the head of the FBI, are leading an assassination squad against somebody who's running for office against Donald Trump. And one of the ones they do is Patriot Takes, a Patriot Takes post embedding a Steve Bannon podcast excerpt, May 21st, 2024. And Patriot Takes got around, thank God, to finding a particular claim by Steve Bannon when he was interviewing Mike Davis, the founder and president of Article 3 of the Article 3 Project, which is a project that goes after federal judges because it talks about Article 3. And in there, as was posted on the 21st of May by Patriot Takes, Steve Bannon claims the Mar-a-Lago FBI classified document search was an attempted assassination by Joe Biden on Trump and his associates. Let's roll the actual clip.
Mike, what does Jim Jordan and Mike Johnson need? You should start impeachment proceedings just on that. They authorized deadly force. They had a medic. They had a plan to triage the wounded. They had a trauma center 18 miles away and a map. This was an attempted assassination attempt on Donald John Trump or people associated with him. They wanted a gunfight. They brought they had use of deadly force authorized by the director of the FBI and Merrick Garland. They brought a medic, a combat medic. They had a triage plan for the injured, and they had a trauma center. What more do we need? Good God in heaven, what more? President Trump just truthed it out when he walks out the courtroom. What more do we need to shut this down? What is it going to take? Are we going to send a sharply worded letter, Mike Davis? Is that what? Look at what the evidence is. The judge has known this. She's pleading for help. That's what she's got this trial of Jack Smith on the 27th, 28th, and 29th of June. Sir, how can if we tolerate this, we're tolerating the end of this republic, sir.
Now that clip, as caught, analyzed, put up on social media by Patriot Takes, is a lie. It's defamatory. It's inciting an insurrection. It's fomenting discontent. And Donald Trump did it again. I mean, we could use the debate as another example of this. But this was a classic example of the Trump campaign, that's all this is, trying to trampoline and amplify through the echo chamber of MAGA, through think about this ecosystem. You've got right-wing MAGA podcasters. You got right-wing MAGA lawyers. You got right-wing MAGA spokespeople. You got right-wing MAGA elected officials in Congress. You got right-wing MAGA state officials. You got right-wing MAGA heads of political action committees. You got right-wing MAGA communications directors. You got right-wing MAGA former people in the last administration of Donald Trump, many of whom are felons. You've got right-wing MAGA other podcasters, including Steve Bannon, like Rudy Giuliani and the like. You've got right-wing talk radio. Do I have to go on? And all of this ecosystem gets activated by a push of the button with Donald Trump through the chief lever pullers for him, Stephen Chung and Alina Habba and, fill in the blank. And then they go on Sunday morning talk shows. And if they can't do it, they get Marjorie Taylor Greene, or they get Boebert, or they get, I could spend the entire podcast listening to people that they would get, they get Comer, or they, my God, and then they go all on. So you got the Sunday morning talk shows using the same exact palm card of the same talking points as the podcasters, the fundraisers, the PAC spokesmen, the communications directors, the elected officials, and all they're doing is repeating each other. They're repeating the same lie, right? They're repeating the same lie over and over again, so that by the time you hear it, you think, I've heard that someplace before. Yes, from that guy over there, the lying guy who's running, the convicted felon who's running for president. That's where you heard it from. What's the old line about a lie goes all the way around the world before the truth even gets its boots on? Well, that's what we're watching. And so the Patriot takes catching it is just our way of peering in to this ecosystem, this dark web-based ecosystem, and illuminating it right here on the MeidasTouch network. Now, let me give you some of the other examples, because I'm sure the Department of Justice got back to their offices or on the ride home from Fort Pierce, Florida, and said she wants an entire compendium of all the times that Donald Trump, where everybody in his world and all of his minions and all of his sycophants and his entire ecosystem repeated the lie that the Department of Justice is operating under Joe Biden death squads against the Trump family. Good. Thanks. That's a gift. They took it as a gift. And when you get a gift, you don't return it. This episode of Legal AF is brought to you by Manacora Honey, also known as the honey with superpowers. Let me share something sweet with you. And I mean really sweet. It's something that's become a staple in my routine, and I think you're going to love it. I'm talking about Manacora Honey. When I say honey, you might be picturing those bear-shaped bottles at the supermarket. But that's not what this is. Manacora Honey is single origin, rich, creamy, and the most delicious honey you've ever had. It's supercharged with unique antioxidants and prebiotics and has 3 times more than your average honey. Manacora Honey supports immunity, aids digestion, boosts energy, and helps balance inflammation. It's a game changer, and all you need is 1 to 3 teaspoons a day. On top of that, Manacora Honey has a natural antibacterial compound called MGO, only found in Manuka honey. So if you're looking for something simple and delicious to add to your wellness routine, we found your new healthy habit. Now it's easier than ever to try Manacora Honey with the starter kit. Just head to manacora.com/legalaf to get $25 off. The starter kit comes with an MGO 850 plus Manuka honey, 5 honey travel sticks, a wooden spoon, plus a guidebook. Now, I love the jar and squeeze bottle, but the extra pack of compostable honey sticks is perfect for whenever you're on the go. You can bring them with you when you're traveling or need a quick snack running errands. And they are the perfect energy boost if you're out for a run or at the gym. That's manukora.com/legalaf to get $25 off your starter kit. This is the ultimate honey indulge. And try some honey with superpowers from Manacora. Manacora is incredible, And I'm so thankful they're a partner of the show. I look forward to Manacora every morning. Make sure you click the link in our description or head to manacora.com/legalaf and try some today. So here's the gift that was given by Judge Cannon that's now been submitted to her. Exhibit number 1, the statements giving rise to the motion to modify release conditions. Remember, this whole thing is about he needs to be gagged. Now, it didn't help that Judge Mershon up in New York decided we don't need the gag order for most of the elements of the criminal justice system. And Donald Trump's allowed to go attack and bash Michael Cohen and Stormy Daniels if he wants. He just can't attack certain elements of the criminal justice system on the prosecutor's side and my court side and all of that. And jurors are already discharged. So you want to go bash the jurors, go ahead. But so that, of course, is going to enter into the consciousness, the ken of Judge Cannon as she makes this decision. So they go through first all the Truth Social posts, fundraising emails, and all within the same very tight time frame. Because when the ecosystem moves, it moves as one all around a 72-hour period. So listen to these dates for the emails and social media posts and fundraising by Donald Trump, alleging that he was the target of an assassination attempt. May 21, May 23, May 23, May 24, May 25, May 21, May 21. Okay. Then Exhibit 3, I'll skip 2. That's the one we just did on Patriot Takes, which was also on the 21st. Bannon, go do it on the 21st. An example of number 3, Trump's statements regarding the FBI. He made other statements back in August about the FBI, which sort of connect with this, and that's their argument. He made other threats against the FBI back in the August 9th to 11th time period during the execution of the search warrant. So the government says, that's a very good example. And Judge Cannon, you want to know more about him attacking court judges and courtroom staff? Then they go through everything back in which the Judge Chutkan is attacked, Judge Mershon is attacked, Judge Engoron is attacked. I mean, you name it, he's attacked it. And then judges and court staff following Trump's statements, there's then examples. They want to show the link, the call and response, the stochastic terrorism between Donald Trump and his followers, right? He says attack, they attack. And then they give examples in cases, United States versus Abigail, Joe Schrei, right? Trump versus Engoron, and all the examples of that. Articles about judges being subject to violence because of Donald Trump's attacks. Then they break it down on example 7. Here's the attacks on prosecutors, right? The Manhattan DA, the New York Attorney General, the Georgia prosecutor, the special counsel in this case. And then they go to witnesses being attacked in the District of Columbia and other cases based on his attacks. Then there's also, they want to show the awareness that Trump knows what he's doing, that when he pushes that button, it has an effect, right? It's not like the close the door button in the elevator. It actually creates, he hits a button and torpedoes fire. And so they give examples where Donald Trump recognizes that from his own statements, including his own town hall interviews with CNN. And then they go, there's other relevant orders out there in New York, in the District of Columbia that have been affirmed on appeal involving Donald Trump, which were not originally cited in the government's pleadings. Signed David Harbach and Jay Bratt on behalf of the special counsel's office. Now, I've done other reporting, including on Legal AF midweek, in which I told you that Harbach is getting sideways with Judge Cannon, and it may be impacting the ability for the special prosecutor, the special counsel, to be making compelling arguments in front of this judge. I mean, you may think the judge is not all there and is not very good and is not very smart, but you can't let the judge know that. And apparently Harbach has sort of crossed the line a number of times. And I've been aggressive in court at times when I need to be. It's usually for a purpose, but not disrespectful. And he's crossed over apparently to where she thinks she's being disrespected by him. And it doesn't matter whether he's really doing it or not. It's the appearance of disrespect. She even said, maybe you want to change horses here, Mr. Smith, and bring in a new advocate because this one's not being respectful. She said to Harbach, if you can't make this argument in front of me respectfully, with, as my grandmother would say, a civil tongue in your head, I'm sure there's somebody else on your bench that can do that. He finally realized, well, maybe I've gone too far. And what I'm worried about is that the prosecutors are letting a little bit of their being flummoxed and flabbergasted by Judge Cannon seep into their argument, and it's coming off as disdain, which is not going to help them. Now, ultimately, the 11th Circuit's going to have to weigh in, but we're running out of time here. With the election so important, especially following the last debate, what happens in these trials is another body of work of Donald Trump that the American people should know about before they vote. I think anybody would agree to that. The only people who don't want that are the same people who don't want all votes counted and who want to suppress the vote. If you want to suppress the criminal justice process against Donald Trump, I am sure you also want to suppress the vote. You also want to find ways for minorities and blacks and women and people of economic disadvantage who are economically disadvantaged not to vote. You want to keep black churches from voting. You want to limit the length of time people have to vote. Only 1, 2, or 3 days. Do a lot of barriers and burdens to mail-in voting. Make drop-box voting. Make voting hard. That's the same person that doesn't want to know the results. They want to, like the classic statue of the monkey with their hands covering their eyes, their mouth, and their ears. They don't want to know from this. And it is important. And that's what the government has to remember. I don't care about personality conflicts with a judge, but we need to get to an order that can be reversed on appeal in order for this case to be taken away from her ultimately. And so I care less about, the niceties of what happens in court and more about getting a decision out of Judge Cannon. We're going to follow it all. Patriot Takes, MeidasTouch, you name it. Whoever is catching this information, we're going to bring it to you right here on the MeidasTouch Network. And on Legal AF, if you like what we're doing here, what I'm doing here, join me on Wednesdays and Saturdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on Legal AF. And leave me a hot take. That's fine. Leave me a hot take. we like fan-based stuff. Send me a hot take of your own making. I'll take a look at it. That's a promise. But you can also leave me a comment and a thumbs up right here. It helps with the ratings. We're building this network just with eyeballs, really. With our bare hands, no outside investors, completely independent thought, no censoring of opinion here. Whatever I say is what I say. Nobody's telling me anything differently. We're unfiltered, we're unplugged, and sometimes a little unhinged if the matter concerns us that much. So until my next hot take, until my next Legal AF, this is Michael Popok reporting. Heary, heary, Legal AF Law Breakdown is now in session. Go beyond the headlines and get a deep dive into the important legal concepts you need to know and we discuss every day on Legal AF. Exclusive content you won't find anywhere else, all for the price of a couple of cups of coffee. Join us at patreon.com/legalaf. That's patreon.com/legalaf.